The Cleveland Browns have been waiting for a decision from veteran left guard Joel Bitonio. Well, they have their decision, and Joel Bitonio is all in for 2025. We'll talk about it. Browns 3D starts now. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D on the OBR is brought to you by State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service. Look, this is content business-wise covering the NFL. I absolutely love this time of year, and I tell you guys all the time, and I will always speak on that. Roster construction, team construction, just absolutely just a really, really fun time of year. Want to thank everybody as just continue to pour out to check out the written content daily, the nightly streaming network here on the OBR, starting with Browns 3D. You had, of course, the React last night. You will get, of course, Barry and Fred after this show. We're just going to continue to pump it out. I mean, the amount that you guys come out in droves, we appreciate it. We're going to continue to bust our butts for you. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and, of course, over on Twitch. There was a big decision that the Browns were waiting on, and this was certainly going to have some impact on how the Cleveland Browns were going to maneuver the off season and certainly free agency, certainly the draft. But the news is appears to be pretty much official from Mary Kay Cabot. Joel Bitonio will be returning for 2025. Now, as we all know, Joel Bitonio, for the first half of his career, got to play next to a Hall of Famer in Joe Thomas. And, Joel and Joe have remained close as time has gone on. And, I'm certainly positive, that, Joe and Joel have probably spoke on this. And, for Joel to make his ultimate decision, just feels he's in a better spot health-wise than Joe was at the time. And, having somebody that you trust, maybe tell you the things that you don't understand, it's probably great, to walk away, and we know Joel went through a massive body change, got the weight off, started feeling better, was just, able to have, live a better quality life. Joel, it's been a little bit more kind physically to him, the body. And of course, Joe Thomas cited, and, I know Mary brought this up and it's been out there, that you just can't recreate, NFL locker room life, NFL teammate life, and any other aspect of your life once you get out of the game. And, Joel, who's gotten to see some better times with this team than certainly Joe did. So for Joel, probably the last time, firing it up one more time. And maybe sometimes it's better to know you're doing it for the last time, and a bigger appreciation for it. You're mentally prepared as you go through each and every week. 2023 was not Joel Bitonio's best. 2024 certainly started slow for Joel Bitonio. From week 7 to the end of the regular season, Joel Bitonio was PFF's number 1 graded pass blocking left guard. So Joel, it took a little while to get settled in, and sometimes it does when a player's a little bit older because you're not doing as much as in the summer as you've done in the past. So it takes a little while to get anchored in, and Browns got the best of Joel Bitonio. Joel Bitonio continues to want to do it for the Cleveland Browns. So it was a big domino that the Browns wanted to hear. And this is where a lot of people are curious, and and you see a lot of people trying, basically to pontificate that the Browns are, this rebuild is coming. I have a hard time believing it, and I keep telling you all, don't believe it, because it just doesn't, in fact, appear to be in any way whatsoever true. I'm sorry. They will continue to say, well, if Myles Garrett wants to get traded, Myles Garrett, he's not getting traded. What I'm saying? And they are telling you basically everything. That is not going to happen. So you're going to get Joel to return. The Myles situation is not changed. The Browns have zero interest. The Nick Chubb thing, look, I get it, and I do. And yes, when you mention Joel Bitonio and you mention Myles Garrett, heck, even if you mention Joe Thomas as Cleveland Browns, it is fair to put Nick Chubb in those same conversations as far as types of players and where, they stand. Are they a part of the legacy of this franchise? Yes, but it's vastly different, unfortunately. You don't know where Nick's health is at. And I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I've seen this fan base turn on everyone at times. So if the Browns were to pay Nick Chubb, and again, I'm not sure, could be coming back, could not be coming back. But if the Browns were to pay Nick Chubb and he's not performing, it won't end well. I've seen it many times with this franchise. It's not going to end well, certainly. Now, in regards to Myles Garrett, the Las Vegas Raiders today have worked out a massive extension for defensive end Maxx Crosby. $109 million total, $91 million guaranteed. The highest non-quarterback contract in the NFL. Now, 95 is not interested, apparently, in the money or the contract extension. Well, I'm assuming this may change Myles Garrett's stance, because with this deal being done, Myles Garrett, 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, 2024 finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett, if he remains with the Cleveland Browns, would be looking at a contract that would absolutely beat this contract for Maxx Crosby. Would the total worth, my guess would be, as far as guaranteed money, probably somewhere between $95 and $100 million. And what we're seeing here over the last few days, and as we get ready for the amp up of legal tampering period, just call it free agency, that's what it is. We, starting to find out teams and players that maybe think they are not going to, continue anymore with their relationships. TK Metcalf, another one out here today. Everyone wants to go to a contender. Well, not everybody can go to a contender. It's just the way it works. And the problem, most likely, a lot of times with the contenders is their money is kind of spoken for. If you have a good team, you have a good roster, normally it's filled with some good players who make a good amount of money. So if you're Myles Garrett, do you finish your career in Cleveland? And look, very well could be contenders before Myles' days are done here. And sign, again, a contract that makes you the highest defensive aid player in the NFL, just like you did in 2020. And then, as Andrew Berry said, our thought process is for Myles Garrett to finish playing in Cleveland and then make a destination to Canton, Ohio. It's where it's at. The deal isn't there to be had, because if you're dealing with contenders, again, the draft compensation, 3 ones. Ideally, it's probably 3 ones. Nobody's going to give it up. Is Myles going to be satisfied, still playing on his contract from 2020, now in year 2025? And I'm not exactly sure the spot he is, but where is he ranked as of overall top paid defensive players? It's probably way, way down on that list now than it was certainly when he first signed that deal in 2020. One of the first major moves Andrew Berry made as Cleveland Browns general manager. But the news obviously certainly positive. You love hearing that Joel Bitonio is back, so you have a pretty good idea of Conklin at right tackle, Wyatt Teller at right guard. Our buddy Jack Duffin's been trying to move Wyatt Teller out of Cleveland for ages. Not sure it's going to happen. I'm not sold yet. Ethan Posick, in my opinion, would be a 50-50 move. Bitonio at left guard, DeJuan Jones, left tackle, and certainly going to address the tackle position, either in free agency or the draft. And, so good. Number 75, had him on years ago. Pete and I got to talk with Joel Bitonio for probably about an hour. One of my favorite interviews I'd ever done. Joel was a really, really, great guy to talk with. Great athlete growing up in Southern California. He was a great basketball player. Big, tough guy. Physical guy. Could play. Played against guys like DeMar DeRozan in high school. So to have number 75 back for one more year certainly makes you feel good when the Browns say they want to put a contending team on the field year in and year out. Knowing that Joel Bitonio would be part of it certainly makes you excited and believe a little bit more that this team could be contenders in 2025. I've been trying to find trade targets for our Cleveland Browns, and I have found one. We will talk about it as we continue here on your latest Browns 3D. We've been talking about, and we're super excited for the partnership that we have with State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service in Broadview Heights. If you are local to the Cleveland area, they're your one-stop shop for all things lawn equipment. Listen, you want to spend your Sundays watching the Browns, not cutting your grass. Let the guys at State help you get your weekend back. They specialize in both residential and commercial equipment for Toro, the brand professionals have counted on for more than 100 years. Whether you're looking for a new, dependable time cutter, zero turn, genuine Toro replacement parts, or expert service from experienced technicians who keep your mower in peak condition, State has got your back. They are veteran-owned. The Kane family are lifetime Clevelanders, lifetime Browns fans, and they're proud supporters of the OBR. Again, if you're local to Cleveland, State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service in Broadview Heights is your hometown team for all your lawn equipment needs. All their info is at statesharp.com. That is STATESHARP.com. We continue on here, Browns 3D on the OBR, brought to you by State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service. Subscribe on YouTube to the OBR, of course, over on Twitch as well. Now, I told you guys, I've been trying to help this offense. Look, the Browns have 12 draft choices. Do I believe they're going to make all 12 of these picks? Probably not. We know Andrew Berry. We know his game. We know what he likes to do. He likes to have a lot of draft capital in every draft. And if it's not there, what he doesn't see, what he doesn't feel is there, let's duck out of this year and have it next year, and same rinse, repeat. If we don't like it that year, we go on to the year afterwards. But I've been trying to find some offensive help. I've cultivated, the Amari Cooper trade a couple of years ago, certainly worked my butt off on clamoring to get Jerry Jeudy to Cleveland well over a calendar year. I've got the guy this year. Michael Mayer, tight end, Las Vegas Raiders, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish, relationship with Tommy Rees from Notre Dame. Former second-round pick, and it was really weird. The Raiders 2 years ago take Michael Mayer, 35th overall in the second round, come back the following year and go ahead and draft in the first round Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers absolutely exploded. Mayer has missed a little time his rookie year, missed 7 games last year. The thing with that, it wasn't really injury related, and there really hasn't been much put out as to why Michael Mayer missed the time that he did last year. He was an absolute boss at Notre Dame. I think it was 180 receptions in his 3 years in South Bend. Highly recruited guy, number 1 player in the state of Kentucky his senior year. 6'5", 250. Was, I think, a top 11 or top 12 graded run blocking tight end last season, even though he did miss time. What is the kind of the appeal to a guy like Michael Mayer? Michael Mayer is, look, David Njoku can do a lot of things. And it's not a knock on David, because he has done a fantastic job as improving himself with his hand in the dirt at the tight end position. But it's not necessarily the best thing he does. Well, Michael Mayer is a fantastic hand-in-the-dirt tight end. It allows me to play more 12 personnel. It allows me to do more things with David Njoku, line him up wide, line him up as a power slot, line him up as an H-back. All things where I'm trying to take one of my unique athletes and David Njoku and try to create mismatch issues for the opposition. That's what you're trying to do. David Njoku is a chess piece. This is a great idea. So Meyer, and it's the rumors are that the Vegas is looking to move on from him. And I guess I can kind of understand it. You have two young tight ends, on rookie deals. Again, I'm not necessarily sure if I'm Vegas, I would do this myself, but I can understand why they might be thinking this. Maybe just go get, a different type. But if Meyer is available, now there's two scenarios. Now I put one out last night, through my X account. And, the Browns are in a uniquely weird situation with Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson. They have two cornerbacks on the final years of their deals. Now, things could work out great. Both of them could ball out in 2025. And the Cleveland Browns could say, well, we got to choose one of them. And the other one's going to hit free agency. We'll recoup, maybe a third-round pick, down the line as, compensation. That is, they don't sign too many people themselves. Now, in wanting to move maybe one of these two corners for Meyer, and I'm not saying it's a straight up, and look, there could be loose change involved in draft picks. That's fine. Everybody automatically right away came, oh, no, you should send him Newsome, send him Newsome, send him Greg Newsome, send him Greg Newsome. That's kind of a Madden deal, guys. Okay, you're getting Michael Meyer, who still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. You would be trading Greg Newsome, who is on his 5th-year option, which is a really good, heavy chunk of change. Greg Newsome, if you roll your mind back to Pete Carroll's very successful years in Seattle, does Greg Newsome seem like the type of guy that would fit in to the Seattle Seahawks secondary back in the day? Not really. Does Martin Emerson, as a bigger, longer corner, seem like the guy who will fit what was ideally the Seattle Seahawks plan of secondary players? Certainly seems more like it would be Martin Emerson. Not necessarily that I want to move either player, but if the opportunity to, and I think this is really getting lost, like the Browns really need help at the skill positions. 2 running backs, certainly need a wide receiver, and I have no idea how they're going to get there yet. Help with the tight end, which has been talked about. Our own Lane Adkins put it out that he expected a significant move in addition to the tight end room. Michael Meyer, in my opinion, certainly nails that and then some. So, could you work some sort of Martin Emerson for Michael Meyer type of deal? You would have Newsome then return to the outside. The other corners the Browns have on this roster, and certainly, Cameron Mitchell, probably parlay more as a slot guy. So why not give Greg Newsome, and Greg's been pretty good about this. Let's be honest, at first there were rumblings Greg wasn't happy about going to be a slot guy, this, that, and the other thing. And I can kind of understand it because Greg Newsome as a rookie, in my opinion, was really good as an outside corner. And, that was something that, kind of got dwarfed. And then the problem is that you had Denzel, you had Genu, you had Martin Emerson, and all of them were kind of good. So you wanted to play all of them. And it just kind of made the most sense, to have Newsome play the slot. You could have done it with Denzel at times. And I still wonder after all these years why Denzel hasn't taken more slot reps. And I think most of it is probably because the Browns want to keep him out of the highly trafficked areas. Then, after I had this on social media, pitching a Martin Emerson for Michael Meyer deal, I get a message. And the message then is, well, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Las Vegas native, played with Chip Kelly, now with the Raiders, DTR to the Las Vegas Raiders, and a Michael Meyer type of trade. And again, could be some loose change involved here. But you're just trying to put together the parameters. Now, it's certainly interesting. And I'm not saying the Browns are done with DTR. That I think they've seen enough where they could say, maybe it's just not going to work with us. So let's give the young man an opportunity to go make this try and happen for himself somewhere else. So, I mean, there are two possible scenarios you can use to try to, improve the offense and maybe move on from a player A in DTR that could possibly not be in the plans for 2025. Or Martin Emerson, because you're not going to get a decision. You're not going to be able to keep both of them after 2025 in Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson. So maybe by letting one of those two go now, and I'm not sure anybody is going to take Greg Newsome. You got to pay him a boatload of money in 2025. And ideally, if he balls out for you, which is great, it's a good move, right? Yeah, but then he's going to free agency, and he could be in line for a monster contract that said team who acquired him, the Raiders in this instance, might not be in position to match. So, it's real tough in that scenario. So you can't ask a team to pay $12, $13 million for a guy. And then if the trade works out and the guy balls out for you, that's it. It's a one-shot deal. Emerson, who's not making nearly the money, certainly, that Greg Newsome is, it becomes obviously a little bit more feasible, a little bit more understandable how to make that work. So Michael Mayer, the guy I am truly all in it, 100% all in on. And I do believe that there would be a possibility, and things line up there, in my opinion, pretty good for either the Martin Emerson route or the Dorian Thompson-Robinson route for the Browns to improve and bring in a solid blocking tight end. You could still draft one if you wanted to. But also the reason that I think that I kind of like this move, and again, it could be Michael Mayer, certainly for a Martin Emerson, or certainly for a DTR. We were, in the Slack channel last night, me and the OBR guys. The thing is, Michael Mayer right now, it's a tough evaluation as far as what he would be worth in a trade scenario involving picks. That's a little bit difficult right now. But you try to put together a player for player deal that maybe you can add some loose change to after it, and it becomes, certainly a little bit more of a clearer path to being able to, find a way that this could possibly work and be beneficial both to the Raiders and certainly as well to the Cleveland Browns, which is what you're looking for. Last evening and into today, the Browns were hosting Abdul Carter, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. Now, kind of weird to have them all at the same time, in my opinion, because, it's kind of like a job interview, right? And who, when you're interviewing for a position, says, okay, these are top 3 of my 4 candidates. Cam Ward will be in later this week. And basically say, okay, all of you are all up for the, it's not necessarily the same job, but it is certainly the same spot as far as the Cleveland Browns picking these 3 guys. And you say, let's take these 3 guys all out to dinner. And, and I just don't know how you evaluate, because, you want to evaluate these guys individually, in my opinion. So taking all 3 of them out together at the same time, certainly for me, seems a little odd. It does. I don't know how you would handle it today. Do you have one of them come in at 9? Do you have another one come in at 11? You have another one come in at 1 o'clock. Is that how you do it? But bringing them all in at the same time, certainly for me, it just seemed a little, just a little strange. Maybe the thought process is they're going to be more comfortable if they're around their peers, and, maybe let their guard down a little bit. And who knows, but all went out last night. I hope these guys, who knows, I'm a little removed, from young kids. So, if they took them to a steakhouse, I hope these guys actually ordered good steak, didn't go in and order chicken at a steakhouse. So certainly, there is a lot going on right now. And as we sit here Wednesday, we are less than a week from Monday, free agency, legal tampering. We plan to go. We're going to try to go, give you a lot of content on Monday. There might be 4 shows on the streaming network on Monday night, so be sure you're looking out for that. All of us trying to free up our schedules, so basically we could be here ready to, report to you with whatever news, whatever moves the Cleveland Browns make on Monday. And we're hearing, that the Browns don't seem to be big players, in free agency. When you look at some of the biggest areas of needs right now, right? Quarterback, obviously one. And look, I think the Browns obviously are going to be players in the free agent quarterback market. And it certainly brings up the question of, if Seattle just moved on from Lockett, if DK Metcalf is looking for a trade, where does that leave a guy like Geno Smith, which now becomes yet another veteran quarterback? And we've mentioned Geno a little bit, but another veteran quarterback that certainly could go into this mix for the Browns. So they could certainly be active in the quarterback market of free agency. The running back market, I got to be honest, it's probably going to be cold. And I mean cold. When we're talking about a running back draft class that has over 30 running backs with draftable grades, to go sign a 28, 29-year-old running back right now, it's foolish in my opinion. Absolutely foolish. So maybe that's a market the Browns are not going to be active in either year. You look at the wide receiver free agent market, and a lot of it is has-beens, coming off surgeries, or never has been. Has-beens, injured, never will be's. This is so not sure where you're going with that market either. Tight end market is never much, although there is a possibility Evan Engram could get moved on. And while it is a nice pass catching option, it doesn't bring you what a guy like Michael Mayer does as far as being a hand in the dirt, solid blocking tight end. So there is a market that I don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to be involved in either as far as free agency. Offensive line. Wouldn't stun me that they sign a free agent offensive lineman. Certainly wouldn't surprise me, no. But the probability of that, and look, they will sign somebody, but whether or not they're going to go big game hunting, the probability of that has now lessened with the acquisition, of course, of the Joel Bitonio news that he is planning on returning. So therefore, your interest in a high level offensive lineman in free agency is probably out the window as well. Defensive line certainly could be a player there if there is an edge that you like available. Linebacker, all comes down to JOK, and the Browns are not paying, not that there will be, big money to a free agent linebacker. Zach Bond, by the way, to the Philadelphia Eagles, $34 million guaranteed. Great story, great run. Congratulations. That was in my opinion, Zach Bond was one of the most outstanding defensive players in the NFL in 2024. Rode with his team to the Super Bowl, rolled into winning a Super Bowl, and now rolls into a highly deserved contract extension. Secondary. Browns are, I don't want to say deep at corner, and, because when I say things like this, people automatically think I'm talking them up as a great group, but there are plenty of corners on their roster, and we know that is most something they will explore in the draft because that's just what they do. Safety. Now, safety is an interesting one. Javon Holland. I'm not saying the Browns are going to go big money. My guy and Andre Sisco, who I keep talking about, going to be a free agent out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a market I think the Browns could, poke around in free agency. So when people say the Browns may not be active in free agency, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I do. But I think a lot of it maybe tells us more about the free agent class than maybe tells us more about what the Cleveland Browns' intentions truly are. Look, there are some holes on this team, and I've said it and I will continue to say it. Some of these things, there might not be total answers for in free agency, which is one of the reasons why I'm giving you this Michael Mayer trade with the Raiders. And then, you have the 12 picks, and you can maneuver however you choose in the 2025 NFL draft. Your big news, Joel Bitonio going to return for 2025. Myles Garrett, if he wants a contract extension, he wants to remain in Cleveland, he wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, the bar has been set with the Maxx Crosby contract, and I guarantee you the Cleveland Browns would be more than willing to bust that deal and give Myles Garrett more. And I found a legit trade target for your Cleveland Browns this year. Tight end Michael Mayer of the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly and more importantly, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Tommy Rees, offense coordinator for your Cleveland Browns. We appreciate everybody who comes out here, listens to us, reads us at the OBR. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed on Twitch. Shows, the nightly content starts every night at 6 o'clock after you get your daily fill of written content from our staff of fantastic writers. We appreciate you all so much. Browns 3D on the OBR, brought to you by State Sharpening, Mower, Sales, and Service. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. Browns 3D. We'll talk to you tomorrow.